Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. The last update about Taste of Fate. Grandma follows Aliyah to find out about her hidden secret at the hotel. Then Grandma's life was in danger as Aliyah sent her goons to go and kidnap Grandma. Then Rambo made a promise to Prachi that even though the baby is not his own, then he will still care and take care of the baby and Prachi. Let's continue from there. Rambo tells Prachi that he will pray to God every day that Prachi should stay happy with whoever she is with. She should just be happy and he goes away from her. A sad song plays in the background. Prachi thinks about Rambo's words and she thinks about her words. Aliyah's goons are running behind Grandma. Prachi tells Shahana that Rambo wants her to get married to Siddharth. Shahana asks Prachi to understand Rambo's situation. Prachi says, "What are you saying? How can Rambo think like that?" She says maybe mommy told him, but he is behaving as if it is his decision. Prachi says to Shahana that she will leave the house. Shahana asks to where. Prachi says, "I will leave the house." Rambo comes there and says, "Then I will tell you what I will do." Prachi says, "I will not tell you where I am going to." Rambo says, "You are not alone, but you were going with the baby in your womb." Rambo says to Prachi that I have promised your baby that I will take care of the baby and I will secure his future, and says, "I will get you married to Siddharth." Prachi says, "You want to fulfill your promise," and she reminds him of his promise with his wife and his baby. Rambo says, "I am talking about someone else's baby and not my baby then." Shahana says to Rambo that I will call Grandma. Rambo says, "Call whoever you want." He takes Prachi inside the room. Prachi asks Rambo to leave her hand. Rambo says, "I am about to leave your hand." Mihika runs and she stops at the way. She is dizzy and she moves back. She sees Rhea standing behind her and she runs away from there. Before Rhea could see her, she hides behind a car. When they ask someone to keep the gift in the car, she says, "I like to drive, but there should be no traffic." Mihika is hiding in Wendy's car. Aliyah comes there in her car. Rhea says, "You wanted to give me lecture on positivity." She says she is getting Pallavi's call. Pallavi tells Vikram that Rhea is not picking her call. Vikram asks Pallavi to meet someone first. Rhea picks the call. Vikram ends the call. Rhea calls Pallavi. Pallavi asks, "Where are you?" and says that Grandma is missing. She says Prachi and Rambo are also not here. Pallavi says Grandma must be crying sitting somewhere. She asks Rhea, "Where are you?" Rhea says she is near the house and she will come in. Aliyah asks Rhea to sit in the car and says that she would ask someone to search for Mihika. Prachi asks Rambo to leave her hand. Why is he waiting? Rambo leaves her hand. Prachi says, "You always listen to me, right?" She says, "When I asked you to love and trust me, then why didn't you do it?" Rambo says to Prachi that I understand things lately and says, "I asked you to come with me somewhere else, but you did not come with me." Prachi says, "You don't know what I am feeling. Someone has snatched my right." Rambo says, "You don't talk about right." He says, "I told you that I loved you a lot, but you did not tell me you love me." Rambo says to Prachi that I was yearning to hear "I love you too" from you. He says, "I was thinking that you would say it, but then I came to know that you are pregnant with Siddharth's child." Prachi says enough and says, "Think whatever you want to. Let me live my life my way." She is about to go out. Rambo calls Prachi. Prachi turns to him and cries. She comes running to him and hugs him. A song plays in the background. Prachi says, "I am very much scared, Rambo." Rambo says, "Things are slipping out of my hands and I just can't understand." Rambo says, "It is slipping like sand and I don't know what to do." Prachi asks Rambo that, "Do you really want me to marry someone else?" A flashback is shown. Prachi twisted Rambo's hand and says she will press his neck if he tries to leave her. Rambo says, "I know you will not hurt me. I have confidence on my love, but we should not get bad sight of the world." Prachi says, "I just care about us." Rambo says to Prachi that you have to promise me that you will listen to me always. Prachi says, "If you request me, then I will hear you." Rambo says, "I would always think about your feelings before me, and if someone says that you will live longer without me, then I will." Prachi slaps Rambo slowly and asks him to say "I love you," and the flashback ends. Rambo says to Prachi that please don't stop me from taking decisions. Rambo asks Prachi to marry Siddharth and then shift to London with Siddharth, as I cannot see you with someone else here. Rambo says, "I don't want your picture to become the reason of my life and not of my death." Prachi cries miserably and hugs Rambo. Wendy comes to Vikram's house. Mihika comes out of the deck. She eyes hearing a car coming. Aliyah tells Rhea that Mihika will not come here because the society can accept her because she is a daughter of the other woman. but the family will not accept her. Aliyah says to Rhea that I told my men to take Mihika back to the hotel. Mihika hears Aliyah and thinks that my destiny has brought me back to the house. I would expose Rhea and Aliyah, and I would tell all the family about their conspiracy. Rhea senses that someone is there and she turns. Mihika hides. Aliyah asks Rhea not to worry and come inside. Mihika thinks to go inside through the back door. Grandma is still running on the road and the goons comes in front of her. Grandma asks, "Who are you? What do you want from me?" Just then, another goon hits Rod on Grandma's head and smiles. Grandma faints and falls down. The goon says our work is finished. Another goon goes to bring the car. They lifted Grandma. Prachi says to Rambo that you have broken many promises, and if I break one, then what is the problem? Rambo asks Prachi to agree to his sayings once and says if you agree, then my life difficulties will become less. Rambo says to Prachi that I will live with your memory and I will keep your good memory in my heart. He says you can give me 4 days of life instead of 2 days of love. He kisses on Prachi's forehead. Prachi cries. Rambo is about to go, but Prachi holds his hand and cries. Rambo tries to wipe Prachi's tears, but Prachi refused. Rambo hugs Prachi and he is going from there. Prachi hugs Rambo again. Rambo also cries. A song plays in the background. Rambo tells Prachi that he will live with her memories and he would always keep her in his heart. Prachi cries and hugs Rambo. Rambo breaks the hug and he is about to go out. Prachi hugs him again from behind. Rambo asks Prachi not to make things difficult. Prachi says stop all this. We had promised to live and die together. Rambo says to Prachi that if you were not pregnant, then we would have died together, but you have to live for the baby. Rambo says they will live but separately. Prachi looks at him. He hugs her again. Rhea asks Aliyah if they are safe and why is Pallavi calling them suddenly. Aliyah says everything is fine. I would handle everything. Rhea says Mihika and her brother are spoiling my day. Aliyah asks Rhea to be happy and says I will see where did Mihika go. Mihika comes there and hides seeing Aliyah. Aliyah looks on. Rahul comes to the kitchen wearing his normal clothes. His friends are still in the dog guy's attire. Mihika comes there and looks at them. The goons keep Grandma in the car decky. The police officers are going from there and they ask them to show them the decky. The goons ask the police to see the decky and they speed up the car to run. The police follows them. The goons calls Aliyah and informs her that they have kidnapped the old lady. Aliyah informs Rhea. Rhea says she would go and meet Mom. The goon calls Aliyah and informs her that the police are behind them. Aliyah asks him to take Grandma to such a place where the police will not come there. The goon asks the other goon to take the right turn. They see the police behind them. Rahul recalls what Priya had told him about the family members. He says you are not from this family and he pointed gun at Mihika. Mihika runs outside. Rahul follows her. Prachi sees Mihika going. Rambo turns and sees Mihika. He says, Mihika, you are here? And he asks, what happened to you? Mihika says, brother, But before she could finish her statement, she sees Prachi and greets her. Prachi asks Mihika that what happened to your aunt. Mihika says, I will tell you everything. Rahul comes there and says, Ma'am, you have called me to the kitchen. Mihika says, when I came here, I felt odd. Rahul shows her the gun and hides it behind him. Prachi asks Mihika that what happened. Rambo asks, are you okay? Rahul says, I am a driver. Actually, my brother is a driver. Rambo says, let us talk to her. Mihika says, I don't know how Grandma will react seeing me. She says, Siddharth said. Rambo hugs her and asks her to relax. He says, I would help you out. Rahul shows the gun and asks Mihika to come. Mihika says, let's go. She goes with Rahul. Rahul says, if you wouldn't have come with me, then I would have killed your brother. Mihika says, I am a chemistry student and I know your planning behind mixing the powder in the food. Rahul says, I am not understanding anything and says Jai is mixing the powder because he is a chemistry student. He asks, what happened with the powder? Mihika says, someone can die. Rahul says, I don't want to kill anyone. Mihika asks him to save lives. Rahul says, let's go out and talk. Prachi comes there and calls Mihika and asks if this is her earring. Rahul asks her to get the earring. Mihika says we should tell Prachi. Rahul says no. Mihika takes the ring and says sister-in-law. Rahul asks her to come. Rambo comes there and says, Mihika, I want to tell you something. And Rambo tells Prachi that Mihika doesn't know about Siddharth and the baby. Prachi goes from there. Mihika says to Rambo that I want to say something to you about Siddharth and Rhea. Rambo says I know everything and he goes. Rahul asks Mihika to come. Rhea asks Prachi how was the marriage arrangement happening. She asks her to do all the arrangement and says we would have planned your marriage grandly if you had told me about your feelings for Siddharth. Rhea says to Prachi that I swear I wouldn't have married Siddharth and I would have got you married to him. She says you had Siddharth in your heart and I had Rambo. We would have exchanged them. Prachi says to Rhea that there is no sense in your talks and I am not in the mood to talk to you. Rhea says everyone came to know and says you got your nose cut by doing this. She says I am going to get what belongs to me finally. Rhea says to Prachi that God came to take away all my troubles. Prachi says you are selfish and you don't care about anyone. You are troubled my father and my mother. You troubled Rambo and Siddharth and you are also troubling me. She says you wanted to trouble and hurt everyone and you just want your happiness and you don't care if anyone lives or dies. Rhea says to Prachi that you are right. I care for my happiness and I'm going to get rid of you. Your marriage is going to happen with Siddharth and you will vanish from Rambo and my lives. The goons bring Grandma to the Kholi's mansion and think that the police will not come to Aliyah's house. They think to hide from Aliyah's sight after hiding Grandma. The police comes there and sees the goons' car. The inspector says the goons are hiding somewhere here. Rambo asks Aryan if he saw Prachi. Aryan says no. Rambo says Prachi is behaving strangely. Aryan asks Rambo to understand Prachi's feelings and says Prachi loves you a lot. Rambo says the situation has become difficult. I asked Prachi to marry Siddharth. Aryan asks, will you live without Prachi? Rambo says whenever I ask Prachi to marry Siddharth, it is like I am talking about my death. It is like a storm is making me fly away. Siddharth comes there and tries to talk to Rambo, but Rambo refuses to talk to him and he goes. Prachi comes behind Rhea. Rhea says, I don't want to talk to you. Prachi asks Rhea, who am I? Rhea says, you are my life's biggest mistake. Prachi asks Rhea, what is my relationship with you? Rhea says, you came into this world with me, but you change color frequently. Prachi says to Rhea that I am nothing to you. She says our blood is one, but your blood is white, as it has no emotions, no love and no sympathy in it. She says our upbringing is different, and that is why we are different. Prachi says to Rhea that I never think of seeing anyone hurt, but you hurt people intentionally. Prachi says to Rhea that who doesn't know how to make relationship, then how will she fulfill them? Rhea says I don't want to learn from you and says I don't want to learn from the girl who makes illegitimate relationship for her illegitimate needs. Rhea says to Prachi that you have someone else's vermilion on your forehead and someone else's child in your womb. Prachi slaps Rhea and says I will not hear anything against my baby. My baby is pure like me. Rhea raises her hand on Prachi, but Prachi holds her hand and says you got slapped by me because you pointed finger on me and says if you raise your finger, then think of what I will do. Prachi says don't take advantage of my goodness. I am good until I am good and says don't make me bad. Prachi says there is already problems in my life. Don't trouble me more. Pallavi comes there and calls Prachi, asking her to come with her. The goons takes Grandma inside the Kholi's mansion. They take her to Prachi's room. They hear Pallavi's voice and they keep Grandma behind the sofa and they hide behind the curtain. Pallavi and Prachi comes there. Pallavi calls Rambo and asks him to bring Siddharth because the priest is here for Siddharth and Prachi's marriage. Prachi looks on sad. Okay guys, thank you so much guys for watching. Please don't forget to like the video, share it, and I'll see you all again in my next video. Thanks for watching.